Welcome to the PODCALV. We were having this conversation in the previous episode about love and about like the ways of love, right? And it's so interesting how love is underestimated. I remember like the other day we were having this conversation with my friend, and for some reason we arrived to the topic of love and how somebody was like too strange because he was like too much there and so and so. And I said, like, do you believe that it's really too much that somebody is actually giving you affection, and it's not too much when somebody is giving you like hate and bad energies and bad vibes and so on? And they say like, yes, because it's not normal. When somebody is giving too many things, it's because it's desperate, and that desperation is bad and it's toxic. And I say, you know what's toxic? The whole attitude of humanity of believing that because of somebody is genuinely good and is genuinely nice, that means something bad. For that, like, we need to go back in history a little bit, and we need to go like to the times of industrial revolution, right? Like in the moment when not only love but other things or other values started to be underestimated, because what started to matter was the production and all the means of production. Whatever you will have in life should be something material, something that will represent stability, something that will represent that you are better than somebody else. And I think that kind of this is the beginning of what currently is like that materialistic way of thinking. If you go back to that, of course it makes sense, because many people were like now coming from the lands and coming from the farms and coming from places where you will have a different concept of family. The concept of family will be the extended family that will be living in a home, will sharing meals and so on and so on. That was now only limited to the rich people who will have money to afford the house, the food, and the different things that you will find in the cities. And what will start happening is like this idea of families that were more, let's say, giving privilege to all those things that will represent a stable lifestyle. So you will have children with the idea of sending them to university, with the idea of them having a job that will be amazing, so they can like provide for their families and also like some way help you. So you have this idea of like saving money for now, like finding stability in the future. And then you will have, of course, this idea of like getting properties, getting cars, getting this thing in order like to show the people that you are stable, which is not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing, because how this degenerated, it was now in the times of the boomers, like when this like all Wall Street and times of the economic development came. And now what was fashionable and what was good is like you having and showing a lifestyle that can be aspirational. It can like be around like spending money and creating like all these things. Like if you ever watch the Wolf of Wall Street, and how, for example, this whole boomer culture developed around the idea that the suit that you dress, the car that you drive, the places that you go are the things that matter, you will understand why love is underrated in the current times. Good news is that now we have sort of an awakening, and like you may laugh like sometimes when there are like so many inspirational talkers or inspirational motivators, and you will find like this kind of doesn't make sense when somebody's talking about like loving your friend and loving your enemies and loving the people that are around you and so on. But let me tell you something. And here's the thing. Last time when we were having a conversation, I told you that if you want to do business, love, right? But then I didn't develop how to do it. But if you want to find a way to develop this whole concept of loving, even for doing business and for being alive in a proper way, just imagine yourself in a place where nobody knows you, right? What's the first thing you do? Probably the first thing you do is to try to engage or to have a conversation, to try to get to know somebody. And why? Because of course you want like to get to be known in that place, but also because of you want to have friends, because of you want to eventually find a position or a place in society. Okay, the same thing that you do there now follows with the next step, that is probably creating a community, like a group of people. That's what we call the safe network, like the people that care about us, the people that are with us, the people that are surrounding us and that make us feel safe in a space. And right after that, what comes is you feeling satisfied because now you can find like better places to stay, better places to go, better places to interact, and so on and so on. Now, when you take this to the business, for example, what happens is that if somebody arrives to the workplace, what they eventually do is exactly the same. They try to create a companionship, or they try to meet people, then they try to connect with a group, and then eventually they start feeling satisfied because they can count on somebody to help them to develop the activities and to do things and so on and so on. Imagine that this thing doesn't exist. If this doesn't exist in a workplace or also in your life, what will it be your life like? Probably it will be the whole idea of aspiration of the boomers, like competing against others. But this whole idea of aspiration of the boomers like ends up being like a degeneration of the society. Ends up being like something that, yes, kind of drives you happy because of you are having money, but the moment when you don't have money, the moment when you don't have anything, well, you are not happy and you are nobody. The moment when you have satisfaction because of the life that you are living, the moment that you feel that you are fulfilling your purpose, that you are having things that nobody else has, that moment when you are feeling that all your emotions are fulfilled is when you have something that is called emotional salary. That emotional salary comes from where? Love. Yes, it's not probably the type of love that we all relate, that is that type of like romantic relationship or like family thing or family vibe, but it's a type of love that at the end of the day develops in making you feel happy, that makes you feel that you belong, that makes you feel that you can do something. And that's basically the type of love that we're looking in the workplace. That emotional salary that makes you feel that all your goals, not necessarily economic goals, and sometimes yes, economic goals as well, are fulfilled. And that is part of a system that now is developing, and is the whole system of radical companies. The radical companies that now anymore that they don't believe in, for example, the traditional structures, and they are more horizontal. They are not hierarchical. They don't believe in the idea of a boss giving you instructions or orders or telling you what to do and how to do it and what to earn and how to earn it, but more in the idea of somebody who is giving you probably advices in the moment that you need it, but somebody who is allowing you to develop your own talent and your potential. And that's the whole vibe. To make sure that in an environment of work or in a work environment, this emotional salary exists is something vital. But if you are an entrepreneur or boss or somebody who is currently working for other people, what's important is to maintain this idea that as long as you have an emotional salary, as long as you feel satisfied in the place where you work, you are going to be good. That influences a lot in the balance that you have in your life. I don't know if it happened to you that the moment when you had a bad day in your workplace, that you go to your house and maybe in your house you feel like you are strange and maybe you end up like fighting or arguing with people that you care about or people that you love. Instead of like feeling happy, you start like feeling that idea of like somebody like following you or something that is not like fitting in the right place. The whole idea of making sure that you have a place to go and place to be happy is what makes you actually love, is what makes you actually go for it, go for the goals, go for the things, because you feel something here, something in your heart that is like just taking you to places, that is just making you aspire, making you dream. And in that regard, I remember how I was traveling once. The first time I felt this emotional salary in what I'm currently doing, I was in Lille in France. In my second trip to France, because I was coming to Belgium and so on. Remember, I told you once that sometimes when you travel as a Colombian, there are a lot of prejudices and so on. I arrived to Belgium and I remember how the person almost didn't allow me to enter because she said that she was not sure if I had the money to pay for the trip. And I remember how I arrived like to Lille, that is in the border with Belgium. So sad because of this person like was not seeing what I see in myself. And I mean, at the end of the day, it was not untrue, but it was not totally real or totally true. That's what she was saying. And I arrived to the house of my friend Greg. I was writing my first book, and I was sleeping in a small mattress on the floor. I woke up, and as I wake up, somebody writes me on Instagram and say, "Hey man, I was having a very, very bad time like with my job decisions and with the things that I was doing, but like looking at your trip and taking a look at what you are doing like just inspires me and makes me feel like so happy." And immediately like some kind of feeling like just entered to my body, and I felt like, wow, this is interesting that somebody is actually like I don't even know this person. That person is writing that what I'm doing is inspiring. I've been traveling all this time without any money, without all the type of income, and this person is seeing what I'm seeing on me and what I'm seeing that this is going to. And just that act of kindness or just that act of love inspired me to actually continue writing. And I remember how that day was like one of the most productive days of my life, but also that day was the day when I decided to make sure that in terms of what we are doing in the company, we were going to have a remote company. We were going to have a company that does not have offices. We were going to have a company that works everywhere in the world, that allows people to work in any time they want without necessarily having like times or slots to work, but with measuring the productivity based in the way how they work in the goal that they have, so that we can allow people to be happier in the workplace, and we can allow people to love the job that they are doing in the way how they prefer. But also, if you think about it, the generation that we are facing now is not anymore like caring about like going to a place to work 8 hours in a day and doing things in that way that we used to do it. Now our generation is caring more about what's the health in that place, like how is your brain developing, how are the challenges like making you feel excited, making you feel that you want to go for something, how are those things making you feel that you can actually create and add value not only to the world but also for yourself and for your life. And as in the next conversation, we are going to go deep in what it's like in practice or in the practice and nomad business. I just wanted to tell you, if you want to, at the end of the day, find satisfaction in your workplace, or create satisfaction for the people that you work for, or create satisfaction for the people that are working for you, just make sure that that emotional salary and that love is in there, and that things that make people happy are there, and you consider that doesn't matter what you do. The important thing now, in this present time, is not hierarchy, is not making people feel like they can't achieve anything because of they are not doing enough or they are not fulfilling their goals. It's not taking people to unfinishable like time slots and time frames of work. It's making sure that everybody feels comfortable and happy at the same time that they are achieving their goals.